Hello, welcome to Lucy Locketland. Our carefully laid plans have just collapsed behind us. I'm here to do you a demonstration on different VRL techniques that I use in my hot water bottle designs. I'm really delighted to be part of Kendall Wool Gathering. Cliff and Sarah and the whole team have done such a good job this weekend. It's been a joy to be part of, and huge thanks to them. So Lucy Locketland is a small shop on the outskirts of Sunderland. It's colourful, quirky, well, just kind of like me really, it's a bit odd, but it's fun and it's friendly and it's a creative social hub. It's far more important to me that this is a friendly social space that happens to sell nice things than that it's a shop. It just happens to do both things quite nicely together. You're always welcome. Once COVID is over, you'll be practically forced to have a cup of tea and a sit down and a chat, because that's what the shop's all about. So my hot water bottle designs. This is my very first one. This is the original. I love the colours. You can actually see I designed it as I knitted it, and it actually changes. Most people don't spot this, but the design's different here to here. But it comes in 3 different colourways. You've got the, well, 4 actually. I haven't got a sample of the summer one, but you've got the original, you've got the Scandi, you've got Water Meadow, and then there is a version that's in soft pinks and lilacs, kind of like these colours. But this is my wrist warmer kit, and you can, a variation is, I'm messing, Lainey made this lovely display and I'm messing it all up. A variation is the fluffy hot water bottle, which is made with Jameson and Smith Shetland, held double with mohair and silk. So it's a much quicker knit, and it's very, very floofy. I prefer Jameson Smith in its proper scrunchy yumminess. And my newest hot water bottle, which you will have seen hopefully this weekend, is Nomeo Goes Foraging, and it's part of my Locket's Enchanted Woodland craft along, where it's a Facebook group and where all crafts count, and we're celebrating our childhoods and enchanted woods and gnomes and talking squirrels and happy toadstools and all loveliness. Do come over and join the group if you haven't already. Lovely group of people, and we're just having fun making woodlandy things. So Lainey, if you can come around behind me. I'm sorry I'm destroying your display. What I want to show you on the hot water bottles is how I cast on. This seam here, that line, is my cast on edge. And you can see it's beautifully invisible. And what we're going to do with this pattern is you knit on 2 circular needles held parallel. That might seem like a right faff, but it's really, really easy. It means you knit the front of the hot water bottle on, say, your red needle, and you turn it round and you knit the back of your hot water bottle on your wooden needle. And it just grows up nicely. Your cast on edge, it's totally seamless. And you just keep going up, knitting, 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 doing the colour work, and you shape for the shoulders, and then knit a mile of ribbing, which Lainey discovered the other day when she discovered she had to knit 50 extra rows of rib. She's still my friend. It's amazing. So I'm going to show you the Turkish cast on. I first learnt it from Fluffy Knitter Deb, from her website, and here I'm using a thicker yarn to demo. I've got 2 needles. I've got a bamboo and a metal. You don't have to use different needles, but it does make it a whole heap easier to work. So, interesting colour choice for me to have some yellow yarn. Those of you who know me will know that's not interesting at all and utterly predictable. So I'm going to make a slip knot. I'm going to put it onto the bamboo needle, okay? I'm going to take my metal needle and I'm going to hold it above, okay? So imagine you want to cast on 30 stitches. What you're going to do is bring the yarn and wrap it 15 times over your needles. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whoopsie, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And great news that I didn't embarrass myself by not being able to count properly. You know, doing a live video can make all sorts of basic functions go completely out of the window. So that's how I've got it wrapped around the needles. What I'm going to do is pull my bamboo needle and let it drop. Okay, so I'm only now using the metal needle. I have the stitches across the cable and across the metal needle, and I'm going to bring the opposite end of the metal needle up and bring it round. Now this was my 15th wrap, so make sure that's still behind. I'm going to go in and I'm going to knit. And this might feel really clumsy and clunky, and you'll think, what on earth is she showing me this for? It's mad. But I'm knitting all of those 15 stitches on the metal needle. If you've got any questions, Lainey's quite clever. She can probably read and ask me questions at the same time. What do you reckon? Yeah, she's nodding. She's nodding. Oops. Now this 15 stitches, it's not what you need for the hot water bottle. I'm just doing a quick sample. Okay, so that's my 15 stitches. Oh, no, there we go. 15 stitches knitted. I'm going to turn it round. So I've slid the stitches off the metal needle onto the cable. I'm now going to pull my bamboo needle back into play. So the stitches are now on the bamboo needle, and I'm going to lose that first slip knot, like that. Okay. Bring my bamboo needle round. It's quite helpful that these cables are different colours as well to show you. Making sure that I bring this loop round the back of the orange cable from the metal needle, and I'm going to once again knit my 15 stitches. And my tension isn't going to be great because I'm doing this on camera. I'm not exactly relaxed. My tension might be over the place, so please don't judge me on that. This is just a demo. I forgot to say at the beginning, I'm a Fair Isle enthusiast. I love Fair Isle, but that in no way makes me an expert. There may be better ways of doing the things I'm going to show you, but these are the ways I do it, and they've worked well for me. So if you see between there, you can just make out that's my cast on. And if you look, I've got 15 stitches along the bottom and 15 stitches along the top. So I'm on the bamboo needle. I'm going to turn my knitting upside down, pull the bamboo needle out, bring the metal needle round, and put the stitches onto the metal needle so they're resting on the cable of the bamboo one, and now I can knit 15 stitches again. And what you would do with the hot water bottle kit is you would knit like this, and you would increase every other row, and that would give you, gradually increase your knitting to give you the shape of the bottom of the hot water bottle. So from here where the cast on edge, up round to here where we start doing the colour work or knitting the body of the hot water bottle. So I'll just finish knitting on the metal needle. I'm using quite short cables because it can get quite tangly when you've got long cables. Just you'll feel all fingers and thumbs with cables going everywhere. So I finish the metal needle, pull it, turn it round, pull the knitting back onto the bamboo needle, and bring the bamboo needle round. So you always know you knit metal to metal, bamboo to bamboo. And with the hot water bottle kits, I've created an option on the listing on my website so that you can add 2 different circular needles to your order. There's a metal Knit Pro Nova needle, and there's a bamboo Knit Pro Basics birch, well, it's not bamboo, birch needle. And I do find it's very helpful. It's also helpful when you're trying to remember how far round you've gone, because you can remember you knit the metal needle first, you knit the bamboo second. But if that's a problem, all you need to do is add a stitch marker on the side here. But if you look there, you can see we're starting to create that. And you can, as I said, my tension isn't great, it's quite loose, but as we knit up, that will fold in half along that seam, and we can start building up the sides. So, ingenious. Yes, it was a Turkish cast on, Sarah, and as I say, I found it first on Fluffy Knitter Deb's website. She has a photo tutorial. I actually find photo tutorials really quite useful. I'm better at them than video ones, ironically. But there we go, that's the cast on. Compose myself from it. So what I want to show you are some other of my Fair Isle techniques. I'm going to say I'm an enthusiast, not an expert. I tend to find that my Fair Isle comes out quite lumpy and bumpy when I'm first knitting it. Blocking is the answer. When my pattern is quite simple. I talk to you the way I would talk to you now. I talk like that in the pattern as well. There are lots of tips. You've got the full colour chart here, and you've also got a black and white chart if you want to add your colours. You can also photocopy this page and make it bigger. And you have your tips for Fair Isle knitting, colour dominance, carrying floats, changing colours. And messages like this: your hot water bottle cover will look far too long and thin to fit your bottle, but blocking will fix it. When you knit the hot water bottle cover, it comes out and it's sort of like this long and about this thin, and you think it's never, Lainey's nodding because she's just finished hers, you think it's never going to fit a standard hot water bottle, but it does, because as you stretch it out, you pull it down in length, and it just fits nicely. Whilst we're on the subject of the ribbing, here's one I made earlier.
Will your demo still be available after this for somebody to check?
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Yes, I'll be putting it on my social media, and Sarah has told me it will be saved on Kendall as well. I have to confess, I hate ribbing. Really, really hate it. It's just not my thing. I skimped on this one. I skimped on this one. Didn't skimp on that one. If you skimp on the ribbing, and you will want to, believe me, when you've done, I think it's 70 rows of ribbing in total, you'll want to skimp it, but it doesn't make that lovely top. So here's one. I bribed my sister, no, not my sister, sorry Ali, bribed my daughter Penny. Penny knitted a lot of this, and my friend Helen did as well. You want a really long, I think Lainey's still talking to me even though she had to knit all of hers herself, really long unfinished rib, because you want to have that lovely luxurious fold over. And if you really can't do the ribbing, knit it shorter and just have it as a stand-up cuff, but don't go in between because you'll regret it. Okay, right, 12 minutes up. Okay, I better speed up here. Right, here's one I started earlier. This is the start of the Vintage Flowers colourway. Just for this, I've completely changed the pattern. I've knitted a turquoise line because I want to show you a couple of tips. The first one is how I would bring in my next colour. So I want to knit a very simple pattern on this row. Just get my needles. I always push my needles right on so that it's all ready for me to knit. I'm going to bring in some white, and I've just sketched a very simple repeat. I'm doing the second row because that's more interesting. And here we go. So we've got the white. I would love to have the time to learn how to do two-handed colour work, but I haven't. I haven't got the time, and I haven't got the patience, and I've got a way that works for me. So what I would normally do, I've just realised I haven't shown you. Imagine this is the end of the last row. Say those 5 stitches are the end of the last row. I don't want to have lots of ends to sew in. So what I would do, here's my new colour. I would lay it over my yarn like that and knit a stitch, and then lay it over again in the opposite direction and knit a stitch. This is how I weave in my colours at the beginning of each colour change. So I'll do this for about 5 stitches. So I'm just laying it backwards and forwards over my working yarn. Okay, so imagine that was at the end of the other needle. So what I'm going to do next is show you how I knit my 2 colours in a row. And I do always try and make my designs so that they only have 2 colours per row. You can do Fair Isle with more, but traditionally I believe it was... I'm getting myself in a tangle with my cables. 1 second, poke that one out all the way over there. Traditionally I believe it was just a 2 colour per row. So here's how I hold my yarn. I have my background yarn is on the top. My contrast yarn is underneath. This is something I learned from Julie of Little Cotton Rabbits. You want your contrast yarn to travel further. So by making sure it always comes from underneath, it's going to make a slightly bigger stitch because it has to travel that little bit further to make the stitch, and that will make it bigger. There's basically more yarn in it, which will make the design pop out. If you do it the other way around, the background colour will recede and the background colour will come forwards and your contrast colour will recede. The most important thing is to always be consistent. Either always have your background colour dominant and your contrast subservient, or the other way around. Just don't chop and change. Okay, so I hold them like this. So I'm going to knit one stitch blue, 1 stitch white, 3 stitch blue. If we can just look at the second row here. 1, 1, 3, 1, 1, 1, 3. Okay, so I carry it like that. Like that. 1. I've just dropped it. That wasn't very clever, but it's very easy to pick it up. Now what I do, because I've got these 3 stitches, is I'm fanning them out, stretching them out, so that when I bring my white round, it's nice and loose on the back. There's no tight pulling. So I'll show you what would be the contrast of what not to do. So if I do my 3. And the thing I love about Fair Isle is this rhythm of numbers. So if I leave that all bunched up like that and pull my white yarn really tight, you can see there's absolutely no room for those stitches to move. There's no give. They're trapped by the white stitch. So I'll just take that back, fan them out like that, and then just gently bring my white so it sort of puckers a bit. So I'll show this across. I'll do 5 blue stitches. Five's about as many stitches as I would carry a float for. So I'm really stretching those out, and I'm doing a very generous loop round with that white. Okay, not pulling it tight. And that means there's plenty of give in that knitting. I am a tight knitter. You might get a looser effect. Carrying floats, catching your floats, is what you do if you're going to have a really long run of colour between your change. So I've done 5. I would now, on my 6th stitch, take my white yarn. This is a bit like when we're weaving it in at the beginning. Lay it over the top loosely, and then knit my next stitch. And I'm going to knit another 4, so this is a float of 9. Okay, but my white yarn is now nice and close, and I can knit the next stitch, and there's no pulling. So on the next, I'm going to do another 5. So on the next one, when I'm going to carry it over, fan it out, I'm going to bend it over in, which way did I go the first time? In the opposite direction. So take it over backwards and carry on knitting. Oh, I'm over time. So what I'm going to very quickly show you is how I then weave my yarn out. So I'm going to break my white, and I would do exactly the same thing as when I wove in. Lay it over the blue, knit a stitch, lay it back over, knit a stitch. So essentially this is like sewing it in, but as you go. Like that.
Can we have a quick look at the back? Just so we can see what...
So I've got nice long floats that catch in. So if you're interested in doing Fair Isle and want to try one of my kits, very quickly I'll show you. This is the easiest kit. It's got an interesting VCal braid, but if you follow the instructions, it's easy. It's a very nice introduction to Fair Isle because there are only 2 rows to remember. It's a 1-1-1-5 and a 3-1-3-1-3-1 repeat. It just moves, so it makes it very easy. You can relax and knit. If you want something fun, my new Toadstool Nomeo Goes Foraging mitts, and I also have, similar to that, my original Fair Isle mitts, and then all the different hot water bottle designs and different colourways. And if none of the colourways suit you, just contact me and I'll help you put a palette together that is perfect for you. And thank you all very much for watching. Hope I haven't been too long, Sarah, and hopefully see you at Kendal for real next year. Thank you. Bye.